Today we're going to be solving radical equations. Now this is part one of a two-part video just because there are different types of radical equations, a lot of different types, and so we're just going to be doing two of the different types today. So your essential questions are, how do I cancel out a root, and how do I cancel out a rational exponent? So we're going to do those two types of equations today. So first we're going to be solving a radical equation, and that's just any equation that has a radical or a root in it. So if you look, you should notice that the root is all by itself. There's nothing else on the outside, either multiplied in front or added or subtracted at the end, and so we can just go with canceling out the root. Now this is a cube root, so how would we cancel out a cube root? Well, we would cube both sides. So I'm going to raise each side to the third power. Okay, so that's going to cancel out the cube and the cube root and just leave us with 2x plus 7 equals, and then 3 to the third power would be 27. So we're going to subtract 7 from both sides, and we get 2x equals 20. So then we divide by 2, and so x would equal 10. And that is our solution. Now it's important to check to see if your solution checks out, because there is such a thing called an extraneous solution, where you worked everything out right, but when you plug it back in, it actually doesn't work. And that happens sometimes with radical equations. So we're just going to check our answer really quick. So we're just going to do a little check over here. So I'm going to plug in 10 for x. So I have 2 times 10 plus 7, and then equals 3 over here. So if we do 2 times 10, that would be 20 plus 7. So the cube root of 27 equals 3, and that is true. So everything checks out. Now the second type of equation we have is when we have a rational exponent, which is some kind of fraction as an exponent, okay? So right now we have the 3/4 power, okay? Now we can't cancel that out just yet because it's not all by itself. We still have this -1 hanging out here. So we need to get rid of that first. So we're going to cancel that out by adding 1 to both sides. And then we'll have x plus 2 to the 3/4 power equals 8. So from here, I want to cancel out the 3/4 power. Now, if you wanted to, you could rewrite that in radical form. So you could have like the 4th root and then to the 3rd power. So if you wanted to do that, you could. You could take the 4th root of x plus 2 and then all of that raised to, oh my goodness, raised to the 3rd power. You could go ahead and do that. So if you wanted to do that, you could go ahead and do that, and you'll come up with the same answer, equals 8. Let me go ahead and just work that out really quick. So if I want to cancel out the cube first, I would have to take the cube root of both sides, and so the cube and the cube root would cancel out, and then I take the cube root over here. So then I would have the 4th root of x plus 2 equals, and then the cube root of 8 is 2. And then I could raise both sides to the 4th power to cancel out my root. So then I would get x plus 2 equals 16, subtract 2, and so x equals 14. Okay, that's a perfectly legitimate way to solve this problem. Now, an easier way, that has a little bit less writing, would be to take the reciprocal power of this. So the reciprocal of 3/4 would be 4/3. So if I raise both sides to the 4/3 power, okay, normally what I would do in this case is I would multiply these exponents. So that's why if I take this to the 4/3 power, these will cancel out because 3/4 times 4/3 is just 1. And so that goes away. So if you do the reciprocal power, it goes away. And then we have x plus 2 equals 8 to the 4 thirds, which could be rewritten as the cube root of 8 to the 4th power. So you'll see I'm doing the same thing I did over here on the left. So then I get x plus 2 equals, and the cube root of 8 is 2 to the 4th power. So we get x plus 2 equals 16, and then we subtract 2, and we also get x equals 14. So it doesn't matter which way you like to work it out. Whichever one makes more sense to you, go ahead and do it. Both ways are the same thing. Okay, now we need to check our solution. So we're going to do a check over here just to make sure that it's not extraneous. So we're going to plug in 14 for x. So we would have 14 plus 2 to the 3/4 power minus 1 equals 7. So 14 plus 2 would be 16 to the 3/4 power minus 1 equals 7. Well, this would be like taking the 4th root of 16 and then cubing it. Minus 1 equals 7. So the 4th root of 16 is 2. 2 to the 3rd power is 8. So 8 minus 1 equals 7. And that is true. All right. If you'd like to, you can stop the video right here and answer your essential questions. I do have 2 additional practice questions from the homework. So if you'd like to attempt those and then check your answer to make sure that you understand, you can pause and try those next 2. So here's an example problem. You can go ahead and try this one. It's a little bit different than the one we worked out before. So you can take a second, pause the video, and try to work this out on your own and see if you get the correct answer. All right, so we're going to solve the equation and check our solution. First, we always have to make sure that the root is by itself before we try to cancel it out. So there's this 2 that's multiplied in the front that we need to cancel out. So first we're going to divide both sides by 2. So we get the cube root of x minus 3 equals 2. So from here, I need to cancel out the cube root. So to do that, I have to cube both sides. So the cube and the cube root cancel out, and I get x minus 3 equals 8, and then add 3 to both sides, so x equals 5. And then you always want to check your solution. So if we do a check over here, we get, I'll put check over here for people that are just writing down. We have 5 minus 3 equals 4. So from there, we get, sorry, I just noticed my mistake right there. So I don't know why I thought that 8 plus 3 was 5. Apparently I'm getting ahead of myself. So 8 plus 3 is actually 11. So that would be why it wasn't coming out right over here. So let me grab my eraser really quick. And so here is 11 minus 3. That makes more sense. So 11 minus 3 is 8. So we have 2 times the cube root of 8 equals 4. And if you take the cube root of 8, it's 2. And 2 times 2 does equal 4. So that is the correct solution. All right, last example. Okay, this time we have a rational exponent. So we need to make sure first that the exponent is by itself before we try to cancel it out. And so we need to cancel out this plus 3. So we're going to subtract 3. And so we have x plus 2 to the 2/3 equals 4. And so then we can cancel out the 2/3 power. So you can rewrite this in radical form, or you could just raise both sides to the reciprocal power, which would be 3/2. So these cancel out, and we get x plus 2. And then if we want to, we could rewrite this as the square root of 4 to the 3rd power, or you can just work that out in your calculator. So we have x plus 2 equals, square root of 4 is 2 to the 3rd power, so x plus 2 equals 8. Subtract 2 from both sides, so x equals 6. So if we check our solution, we get 6 plus 2 to the 2/3 plus 3 equals 7. So 8 to the 2/3 plus 3 equals 7. And that would be like the cube root of 8 to the second power plus 3 equals 7. So that would be 2 squared, which would be 4, plus 3 equals 7. So that is the correct answer. Thank you.